Luke stepped off the shuttle with a wide grin on his face. He had dreamed of traveling to another planet for years. Here he was, standing on Telerath, home to the Valeri species. The sky above was soft purple, and strange trees with glowing leaves waved gently in the wind. Everything looked new, fresh, and exciting. He carried just one bag and a translation device around his neck. Earth had signed an exchange agreement with Talroth's council. Luke was one of the few humans chosen to study at the Valeri Learning Center. It was meant to build trust and understanding between their worlds. As he walked through the welcome hall, a tall figure approached him. She was a Valeri female, about his age. Her skin was a pale blue color with silver markings across her arms. Her dark hair was tied in a neat braid, and her eyes had a soft gold glow. "Greetings, human," she said calmly. "I am Riva. I will be your guide while you live among us." Luke smiled and offered a friendly wave. "Hey there, I'm Luke. Nice to meet you." Riva blinked slowly. "You are?" It's cheerful. "Are all humans this loud when they arrive?" He laughed. "Not loud, just excited." Riva didn't laugh, but her eyes softened a little. "You may follow me now," the elders say. "It is nearly the season, so we must prepare quickly." Luke tilted his head. "Season? What season?" Riva paused, then continued walking. "We'll learn soon." That made Luke even more curious, but he didn't ask again. The learning center looked like a mix of a university and a palace. Tall spires reached toward the sky, and everything was made of smooth stone and glowing crystal. The inside was quiet and clean. Valeri students walked calmly in groups, their expressions serious. Riva led him to his room and explained how things worked: meal hours, quiet hours, the rules of movement, and how to request help. She was polite but very formal. That night, while unpacking, Luke looked out the window. Alien birds flew past, strange music floated from nearby. Everything felt amazing, yet something also felt a little distant. The Valeri seemed kind but stiff. Even Riva, who was supposed to be his guide, spoke like she was reading from a manual days past, and Luke started his classes. Valeri history, communication, star chart studies. He met other students, but most of them avoided long talks. Some stared at him with wide eyes. Others whispered when he passed. Riva walked with him between classes, but she too seemed more tense each day. One afternoon, as they sat in a garden full of glowing plants, Riva suddenly asked, "Luke, may I ask you something personal?" "Sure," he said. "Go ahead." "When do you feel the pull?" "Pull?" Luke blinked, like gravity. "No, the mating pull," she said softly. "Your cycle, your time. When do you change?" Luke froze. We don't have a cycle." Riva's eyes narrowed slightly. "What do you mean?" "I mean, humans don't have a mating season. It doesn't work that way for us." Riva stared at him for a long time. "Possible," she whispered. "You must be mistaken. We don't have anything like that. People just choose. It's more about feelings, connection." Riva looked troubled. She stood up and began to pace. "The elders said you might not be ready. They warned me." Luke frowned. Warned you? About what?" "Our season begins in 4 days," she said. "All Valeri of proper age enter the cycle. Emotions become stronger. Instincts rise. We bond. It is natural. It is required." Luke rubbed the back of his neck. "Wow. Okay, that's different." "Different?" Riva turned back to him. "You say that like it's a small thing. This changes everything you live with. No direction? How do you know who to choose? How do you survive the confusion?" He shrugged. "We just figure it out, I guess." Riva didn't speak after that. She walked him back in silence. He could tell something had shifted, but he didn't know what. The next few days were strange. Riva stopped walking beside him. Students began to whisper louder. Some even glared at him. His instructors avoided eye contact. One Valeri male stood in front of his door and sniffed the air before walking away. Luke felt like a stranger again. On the 4th morning, Riva appeared. At his door. She looked different. Her skin shimmered slightly, and her eyes were brighter. She held a thin cloth in her hand, which she placed around his shoulders. "This will protect you," she said quietly. "From what? From attention? From challenge?" She looked around. "Some think you are hiding your cycle. Others believe you are dangerous because you have none." Luke sighed. "I'm not hiding anything. This is just who we are." Riva looked into his eyes, searching for something. "I don't understand you, human." He smiled gently. "It's okay. I don't understand you either. But maybe we can try." Riva nodded slowly. "Then stay close to me. When the season begins, things may not be safe." As she turned to leave, Luke looked out the window again. The sky was a deeper purple now, and the winds had shifted. The air felt heavier, charged. Something was coming, something powerful and strange. And for the first time, he wasn't sure if he belonged here. But he wasn't going to run. The morning of the season's start came with a change in the air. Luke woke up to find his room filled with a strange smell, sweet and sharp at the same time. Outside his window, the garden shimmered with new colors. Even the wind sounded different. It wasn't loud, but it felt alive. He stepped into the hallway and noticed the silence. Usually Valeri students walk to their classes by now. But today, it was empty. Reva appeared at the end of the hall, wearing a long robe with silver threads woven through it. She looked calm, but tense. Her eyes met his, and she walked quickly to him. "You should not be alone," she said softly. "Where is everyone?" Luke asked. "Inside," Riva replied. "They are preparing. The season has begun." Luke nodded slowly. "Okay, and what happens now?" Riva glanced around before lowering her voice. "Things become difficult. Emotions rise. Instincts take control. Even those who are trained can lose focus. It is not safe for outsiders. But I'm not here to bother anyone," Luke said. "I just want to study and learn." Riva looked at him with a strange mix of concern and curiosity. "That is why I will stay with you. Others may think you are ignoring the call. Some will see that as a challenge." "Challenge?" Luke frowned. "A kind of challenge. They may try to test your strength, to see if you are worthy. It is how we decide during the season." Luke laughed nervously. "Well, I'm not looking to fight anyone." Riva didn't smile. "Then stay close to me." As they walked through the center together, they passed a group of Valeri youths, standing by the main gate. Their eyes followed Luke, and one of them whispered something. Another hissed softly and sniffed the air. Riva placed her hand gently on Luke's shoulder and moved faster. "Ignore them." She said they reached the learning hall, but there were no lessons that day. The instructors were not present. Instead, groups of students sat quietly in circles, meditating or whispering. Crystals on the walls glowed with a low red light. Riva led him to a private room at the edge of the hall. "You may wait here. We'll bring food and water." Luke sat on a cushion and looked around. The walls were covered in woven cloths with symbols he didn't understand. The air was warm and heavy, making it hard to think clearly. "Riva," he said as she turned to leave. "Why do I feel like I'm not supposed to be here?" She looked back at him. "'Cause you're not. Not during this time. But I don't want to lose you, so I will help you stay hidden." Luke watched her leave, unsure of what she meant. She sounded serious, almost afraid. Hours passed. Outside the room, soft voices rose and fell like waves. Sometimes Luke heard footsteps. Once, someone sniffed at the door, stayed still, unsure what to do. Reva returned in the afternoon with food and water. Her face was pale, and her robe was slightly open at the neck. Her hand shook a little as she handed him a bowl. "Are you okay?" Luke asked. "I will be fine," she said quickly. "You don't look fine." Riva sat down beside him, breathing. "Slowly I am, controlling it. The cycle is strong this year." Luke looked at her, concerned. "Does it hurt?" "No, not in the body," she whispered, "but in the mind. We are pulled toward others. We feel what they feel. We want to bond. It is loud inside my head, and you're still here," Luke said softly. "I chose to be," Riva replied. You are not like us. You do not follow the cycle. But you are kind, calm. It makes it easier. Luke felt his face grow warm. He smiled a little.
Thanks.
That means a lot. Suddenly, a loud knock shook the door. Riva stood quickly and moved in front of him. Stay behind me. The door opened, and a tall Valeri male stepped in. He had dark red skin and golden eyes. Two others followed behind him. This room is claimed, he said coldly. Riva bowed her head. It is protected. The male's eyes narrowed. Does not show scent. He hides. He fears the call. He is not one of us, Riva said firmly. He is under my guard. The male stepped closer. Then I challenge your claim. Stood up slowly. Look, I don't know what's going on, but I don't want trouble, the male hissed. You bring it by existing. You twist the cycle. You confuse the pull. Riva raised her hand. No duel. He is not part of this. The male stared at Luke, breathing heavier now. I will know his strength. Riva took a step forward. Leave now. After a tense pause, the male turned and left without a word. The others followed. Luke let out a breath. That was close. Riva turned to him. It will get worse. Before it gets better, many are confused. They think you are a sign or a threat. Why? Because you break the order, and they don't know what that means. Riva's shoulders sagged. She looked tired, but still strong. You should rest, Luke said. She shook her head. No, I will stay. For now, this room is safe. They sat together in silence. The room was still warm, but less heavy now. Luke looked at her, wondering how someone so different could still be so kind. The cycle had begun. And in the middle of it all, one human without a season was about to change everything. The next morning, the knock came again. Riva didn't move this time. She sat beside Luke, silent and calm, but her eyes stayed fixed on the door. The knock came once more, louder. This time, it was not a challenge, it was a summons. There. Calling us, Riva said. Who? Luke asked. The council? They want to speak to you. Luke stood up slowly. What did I do now? That is enough to confuse them. She handed him a long cloak soft, with silver patterns along the edge. Wear this, it will help cover your scent. Even if they do not believe you have one. Luke nodded. Pulling the cloak over his shoulders, he could feel the pressure in the air again, thicker than yesterday. The season was still rising, still spreading through the city like a wave. Every Valeri they passed looked affected as glowing, breathing deeper, emotions closer to the surface. The walk to the council chamber felt long. Valeri of all ages stood to the sides, whispering and watching. Luke kept his head down. Riva walked close beside him, her steps firm, her hand ready near her waist. When they reached the great doors of the council chamber, two guards stepped forward. One of them tilted his head and sniffed. He carries no scent, the guard muttered. He is not Valeri, Riva replied sharply. Carries none, because he has none. The guard stepped aside. The doors opened slowly, revealing a wide round room with stone seats rising like stairs. In the center stood a smooth platform, and around it the elders waited. There were 7 of them, each wearing robes in different shades, green, blue, and gold. Their eyes all turned to Luke. Reeva walked forward and bowed deeply.
Elders.
We have come as summoned. The elder in blue spoke first. Human. Your presence here has stirred confusion. Luke stepped forward. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cause trouble. You are unlike us, the elder in gold said. You do not carry the pull. You do not respond to the season. We ask what? Guides your kind, if not the cycle. Luke looked around the room, nervous. Everyone stared at him, waiting. We feel emotions. We connect through words, time, and trust. It's not through a season or a cycle. The elders murmured quietly to each other. And how do you know when it is real? The elder in green asked, Without the pull, how do you bond? By choice, Luke repeated. We listen, we learn, we care. The elder in red looked displeased. Then you are ruled by chaos. No, Luke said. We are ruled by choice. It's not always easy, but it's real. Riva stepped beside him now, her voice strong. I believe him. He speaks true. I have seen it. His calm is not weakness, it is control. And yet, his presence disrupts our youth, the elder in blue said.
Ow.
One male has already challenged him. He refused the fight, Riva answered. He does not seek conflict. The elders went quiet again. Finally, the one in gold stood. We must decide whether his kind may remain during the season. We will call on the voices of the youth. Let them speak. The chamber doors opened again. Students filed in, those who had seen Luke, those who had heard stories. They stood in the circle above, looking down. Riva whispered, "This is rare. They never call students to a council meeting." Luke's heart beat faster. One student stepped forward. She was tall, with violet skin and sharp silver eyes. I felt nothing from him, she said. No pull, only calm. It helped me think clearly. I want him to stay. A male student spoke next. He is dangerous. His presence weakens tradition. I could not focus. It made me angry. Another student followed. He asked me about our songs. No one has ever done that. He made me feel seen. One by one, the voices rose. Some praised his difference. Others feared it. But the balance began to tip. More students spoke with curiosity than with fear. Finally, the elder in blue raised her hand. Enough. The room grew quiet. Human, she said. Do you understand what your presence has done? Luke nodded. I do now. Will you continue to walk among us with respect? Yes, always. The elder looked to Riva. You will remain his guide? Yes, Riva said, proud and calm. The gold-robed elder stood once more. Then we allow him to stay, but under clothes. Watch. If more unrest follows, we may need to reconsider. Luke bowed slightly. Thank you. As they left the chamber, Riva walked beside him in silence. Outside, the air was cooler. No. The wind had changed again. That went better than I expected. The elders listen when words are honest. I was just being myself. Yes, she said. And that is what they needed to see. They walked back to the learning center together. Fewer stares followed them this time. Some students even nodded as they passed. But Luke noticed something else. Riva walked closer than before. Her shoulder brushed his once. And she didn't move away. The season still burned around them, but for a moment, Luke felt steady in the storm. Riva, for the first time, looked less burdened. Luke sat by the garden wall, watching the glowing plants sway in the night breeze. The sky above Talrath was dark purple with silver stars. Everything around him still felt strange, but no longer unwelcoming. It had been 2 days since the council meeting, and things were changing. Students no longer stared as much. Some even smiled when they passed him. One girl had asked him about Earth's bonding customs, and another asked how human feelings worked without a season. Riva stayed near him most of the time. Her presence had shifted too. She no longer walked with a guide's distance. Now she sat beside him during meals, spoke more freely, and sometimes even laughs, soft and short, but real. Tonight, she brought 2 cups of a warm, glowing drink, and sat beside him on the bench. You are calm even when everything is loud, she said. How? Luke took a sip. I guess humans are used to noise, inside and outside. It helps, Riva said. Being near you helps me think clearly. I don't feel so... pulled. Luke looked at her gently. Is that a good thing? Riva was quiet for a moment, then nodded. I think so. They sat in silence for a while, listening to the soft music from a nearby chamber. The season was still in full effect. The crystals on the towers glowed deeper. Some students stayed indoors now, afraid their emotions would take over. Luke noticed how tired Riva looked. Are you resting enough? He asked. Not really, she said honestly. Every dream pulls me towards someone. Then I wake up, and the pull is still there. But when I sit with you, the pull fades. Maybe it's because I'm outside the cycle, Luke said. Like a calm space in the storm. Riva smiled faintly. Or maybe it's something else. Before Luke could reply, a group of students approached, 4 of them, 2 males and 2 females.
Now.
They stopped in front of Luke and Riva, their expressions serious but not angry. The tallest female stepped forward. "Human, may we ask you questions?" Luke stood up, unsure. "Sure, we heard you speak to the council," the male said. "You said love can be chosen." "Yes," Luke said. "It's not forced by time or biology. We feel, we learn, we care. It's slower maybe, but deeper." The second female looked curious. "How do you know when someone is the right one?" "You talk," Luke said. "You share things, memories, fears, hopes, and then one day you just know." The group looked at one another, confused but thoughtful. Riva stood too. "I have watched him. He is honest. What he says is real." The group bowed slightly, then walked away, whispering among themselves. "That's new," Luke said. Riva nodded. "You're changing things. Is that good or bad?" "It's both," she said. "But I don't think it can be stopped." Later that night, Riva invited Luke to the quiet chamber. It was a peaceful room inside the learning center, where students went to reflect. The walls were soft stone, and water flowed gently along the floor. The air smelled like warm sand and flowers. Riva sat on a cushion and motioned for Luke to sit across from her. "This place helps calm the mind," she said. "I come here when the pull grows too strong." "How long does the season last?" Luke asked. 6 more days," she said. "But the final 3 are the hardest. That's when bonds are formed or broken." Luke leaned back slightly. "And after that everything goes back to normal?" Riva shook her head. "Not always. If someone bonds during the season, that feeling stays. Some even stay together forever. And if they bond with the wrong person, then they suffer," she whispered. Luke looked into her glowing eyes. "That doesn't sound fair." "It's not," Riva said. "That's why your way feels lighter, freer." She reached across the space between them and took his hand slowly. Her skin was warm and smooth. "When I am near you, my thoughts are my own. My emotions are steady. I think clearly. I feel." Luke felt his heart beat faster. "It's not from fear, but something softer." "I'm glad," he said quietly. "I feel safe with you too." She looked at their hands for a moment, then let go gently. "But this may confuse others, especially now." "Do you want me to leave?" he asked. "No," she said quickly. "I want you to stay. But we must be careful." The next day, trouble came again. While walking to the library with Riva, Luke was stopped by the same red-skinned male from before. His name was Varen, and he was well known among the students. He stood tall and proud, his eyes burning. "You hide behind her again? Human?" "I'm not hiding," Luke said calmly. "I'm just walking." "You twist her path," Varen growled. "She is meant to bond this season. Now she is wasting it." Riva stepped in front of Luke. "It's not your choice, Varen." "You reject tradition for a silent stranger?" Varen hissed. "You insult your name." "I choose for myself," Riva said firmly, "and I choose peace." Other students started gathering around. The air grew tight. Whispers filled the space. Luke looked at Varen and said, "I don't want to fight." "Then walk away," Varen said. Luke didn't move. Riva stood beside him. After a long stare, Varen turned and left. As the crowd slowly broke apart, Luke looked at Riva. "Is this going to keep happening?" "Yes," she said, "till the season ends, or until they understand." "How long do you think that will take?" Riva looked at him with soft eyes. "Maybe just a little longer, if you stay." The final days of the season arrived like a silent storm. The air on Talreth felt heavier than ever. Even the ground seemed warmer under Luke's boots. Around the learning center, students moved slowly and carefully, their minds caught between instinct and reason. Many stayed indoors. Others walked in pairs, already bonded by the pull of the season. Riva remained close to Luke. They spent most of their time in quiet corners, away from the main halls. They studied in the soft gardens or talked in the quiet chamber, their words helping both of them hold on to clarity. But pressure was building. Some students whispered that Riva had wasted her cycle. Others believed Luke had cast some kind of mind trick. The elders stayed silent, watching from a distance. Varen and a few others still followed them with hard eyes. One morning, Luke and Riva sat under the shadow of a wide tree. Glowing flowers surrounded them. Riva's hair shimmered in the sunlight, and her voice was calm but tired. "It is the 5th day," she said. "Tomorrow is the final one. What happens then?" Luke asked. "Those who have not bonded either choose to, or walk away for another cycle. But it's painful. For many, it's a time of heartbreak." "What if they don't want to bond?" he asked. Our Eva looked down, then they suffer. Our minds and bodies are trained to expect it. When it doesn't happen, it leaves a hole. "That sounds awful." Luke said softly, "No one should be forced to bond." Riva looked at him. "That's what makes you different. You see love as a choice, not an answer to biology. It should always be a choice." Riva was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "You helped me stay in control. Even now I feel ... free." Luke smiled. "Maybe we're both helping each other." She nodded. "Maybe we are." As the day passed, a message arrived from the council. Riva read it silently, then handed it to Luke. "They want us to speak again," she said. "Tonight." Luke sighed. "Another meeting? Not like before?"
"No."
"This one is private. Just the elders. No crowd. Should we be worried?" "I don't know," Riva admitted, "but we will face it together." When they entered the council chamber that night, the room was dim. Only a few crystals glowed softly. The 7 elders sat in silence as Luke and Riva approached. The elder in gold spoke first. "We have watched closely." Elder in blue added, "Your presence has changed many things." Luke waited, unsure if it was praise or warning. The elder in red leaned forward. "Students speak freely now. Some even question the old ways. This has never happened during a cycle." Riva spoke calmly. "You asked for peace. He brought it. Not by force, by listening." The gold elder looked at Luke. "Human, we did not believe it was possible to resist the season's pull, to stay steady among chaos. Yet you have done it." "I just wanted to respect your ways," Luke said, "but also stay true to mine." And what is your way?" the green elder asked. "To care," Luke said. "To choose when the heart is ready, not when a cycle says so." The room was silent. Then the elder in blue asked, "Riva, do you feel the pull now?" Riva took a breath. "Yes, but it no longer controls me. I feel it.
Act!
By it." "And why do you think that is?" She looked at Luke. "Because I learned there is another way." The elders exchanged long glances. Finally, the gold elder stood. "Then we will not stop this bond. It forms between you. Let it form freely." Riva and Luke bowed. Then they left the chamber, hearts beating faster than before. Outside, the night sky had turned deep violet, stars scattered like dust. They walked slowly through the quiet garden. No words for a while. Then Riva spoke. "Tomorrow is the end. After that, things return to normal. Will they?" "Maybe not," she said. "Not for me." Luke turned to face her. "Me either." They stood beneath the glowing tree. Riva took his hand gently, her touch no longer shaky or confused. It was calm, warm. "You said humans know love by choice," she whispered. "What would you choose, if you could choose now?" Luke smiled softly. "I'd choose you." Riva closed her eyes for a moment, then opened them again. "Then maybe ... so would I." They didn't kiss. They didn't make promises. Just stood there, holding hands under the stars. The world around them still heavy with cycles and tradition, but in that small space, between a Valeri girl and a human boy, something new had begun. Not born from instinct, not pushed by time. Just a quiet choice, one that mattered more than any season ever could. The final day of the season came with silence. No music played. No voices filled the halls. The entire learning center felt still, like the world itself was holding its breath. The crystals on the walls pulsed with a soft blue light. Outside, the sky had turned from violet to gray. Luke stood by his window, watching the morning light slowly touch the trees. His heart felt steady, but his thoughts were busy. He had come to Talarath expecting knowledge and new cultures, but instead, he found questions about love, bonding, and choice. Behind him, the door opened. Riva stepped in, her robe simple, her eyes tired but calm. "Today it ends," she said. Luke turned and smiled gently. "Does that mean everyone goes back to normal?" Riva walked to him. "Some will, others won't. This season changed many things." "And you?" he asked. "I'm not the same," she said. "I used to wait for the cycle to tell me what to feel. Now I understand that I can decide for myself." They sat down on the bench by the window, their shoulders almost touching. The soft light made the moment feel peaceful. "Some students might not like it," Luke said. "Some elders too." "That's true," Riva said. "But some are already asking questions. They want to know more about humans, about emotions without the season." "Are the elders okay with that?" Riva nodded. "They don't show it, but they're watching closely. I think they're curious." They sat in silence for a while, just watching the wind move through the trees. It was the calmest morning they had shared since the season began. In the afternoon, the Learning Center opened the great courtyard. It was tradition. The end of the season was marked by a quiet gathering. No speeches, no songs. Just presence.reeva. And Luke stood among the crowd. Students walked slowly, many in pairs. Some held hands. Some walked alone. Others looked unsure. No one spoke loudly. As they moved through the courtyard, a few students nodded at Luke. One even offered a polite smile, Riva noticed. "They are starting to see you not as a stranger, but as a choice." "That's good," Luke said, "because I didn't come to change anyone, just to be honest." They sat near the garden wall. Again, Riva leaned her head lightly on his shoulder. "You know," she said softly, "when I was younger, I used to wait for this season like a story, something beautiful and powerful. And now I believe it can still be beautiful, but only if it's real." Luke looked at her. "What's real for you now?" Riva smiled. "This moment, this peace." The sun began to set. The light turned golden, and the crystals around the courtyard dimmed. A soft chime rang through the air. The season was officially over. Students began to move again, more freely this time. Motions had settled. Minds were clear. The cycles. Hold was fading. Reef stood up and reached for Luke's hand. "Walk with me." They moved slowly along the garden path. No rush, no pressure. Just two people walking side by side. "Will you stay on Talrath longer?" she asked. "I'd like to," Luke said. "If that's allowed, the council already approved it," Riva said. "I want to learn more about Earth's ways. And you, ... you've become part of something here." "So have you," Luke said. "You're not just guiding me anymore. You're leading a change." Riva smiled. "I didn't plan to. I just followed what felt right." Reached the quiet chamber. The door was open now, and inside the soft water still flowed. Luke looked at her, ... REEVA ... "This season was supposed to pull you towards someone, and it didn't. Does that make you feel like you lost something?" Riva stepped into the chamber and turned to face him. "No," she said. "It gave me something better." Luke walked in and stood beside her. "You helped me understand myself," she said. "And you gave me space to feel without fear." "You did the same for me," Luke said. Riva took his hand again, without hesitation this time. "Maybe we don't need a season to tell us when something is real. Maybe we just need to choose," Luke said. And in that quiet moment, under soft light and flowing water, they chose. Not because a cycle told them to, not because their bodies demanded it, but because their hearts were ready. Weeks passed, and the season became a memory. Students returned to normal routines. The Learning Center reopened fully. And though life on Talroth returned to order, something had shifted. Some Valeri started asking deeper questions. Others requested learning materials from Earth. Few even asked for human guides on emotion and trust. Riva helped lead small talks about free bonding, about choice. She spoke with calm and care. Luke helped too, became a quiet voice of understanding. Forcing, just sharing. His presence reminded others that there were other ways to feel, to love, to grow. One evening, as the stars filled the sky again, Riva and Luke sat on the bench under the wide trees, just like the beginning. This time, they didn't feel like strangers, they felt like something new. Not bound by seasons, but by choice.